Russell Wilson says that he knew he'd have to step up to be a dad to Future's son, yes, the rapper Future, because of Jesus. Yeah, this is a real story. If you guys don't know who Russell Wilson is, he is a professional athlete who is married to the R&B artist Ciara. He is a person of faith. I believe Ciara is a person of faith. And Ciara also has a child with the rapper Future, you know, the lying rapper who raps about doing lean and all kinds of stuff he doesn't really do in real life. And that's the rapper that Juice WRLD followed and started doing drugs because of him and then tragically died. Yeah, that rapper Future. Ugh. So Russell Wilson makes this interesting statement. This is starting to kind of trend.
They saw, you know, little Future, he's 9 months at the time or whatever, and he crawls in my lap, and it was like, you know, this is going to be my responsibility. God, I remember leaving that night and God saying, God saying to me, raising this child, it's going to be your responsibility.
He
and
doesn't
realizing
get it.
that, prayer to God, are you sure this is what you want me to do? Say, son, this is for you.
The first night?
Yeah, the first night. It's going to be your responsibility. And
was that scary?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think scary just in the sense of, not scary, but it was more so an opportunity. Like, okay, God, this is what you want me to do. This is, you know, stepping in to raise, you know, a child with C and this and that, and realizing that, okay, God, like, I know she's the one for me, but also too, I'm gonna take this responsibility as well. Like, okay, like, and I was ready for that. I was ready for that. I was ready to, you know, I love children, as you know, I love kids and everything else, but it was like, man, to help raise a child and everything else, understanding that, okay, God, you're gonna give me this opportunity. What a gift. Even Jesus himself, like Joseph was a stepdad. I was like, okay, it wasn't biologically his. So I'm like, okay, God, you're gonna give me this opportunity to love.
So we don't know why he initially got divorced. I'm gonna give him the benefit of the doubt that he didn't just up and leave his first wife for Ciara. We don't know that. So we're not gonna speculate. But here's the thing. If someone is not a Christian, they're gonna hear that and go, that's crazy. Why would you choose to be a dad to a single mom?
Yeah.
Why would you choose to be a dad to Future's kid who got like 12 different kids with like 10 different women?
It's baggage.
Right? I mean, straight up. And the baby is young. But the flip side to that, and kind of what he was alluding to, and I don't know where Russell is with Jesus' faith. I don't know where Ciara is. I don't know anything about these guys. Specifically, he made the point about Joseph taking in Jesus, raising him as his own, which is true. That is true. Here, we see a passage out of Romans 11. So it says, Romans 11:17, if some of the branches have been broken off, and you, though a wild olive shoot, have been grafted in among the others, and now share in the nourishing sap from the olive root. Do not consider yourself to be superior to those other branches. If you do consider this, you do not support the root. So we see this image in the scriptures of Gentile believers, which is us. If you're not Jewish, you're Gentile, being crafted in, right? And that we're adopted. So this is another one. This is Ephesians 1, verse 4. It says, for he chose us in him before the creation of the world to be holy and blameless in his sight. In love, he predestined us for adoption to sonship through Jesus Christ, so that we are grafted in and we're adopted to sonship through Jesus Christ.
Point for Calvinists.
Yeah, shout out to the Calvinists. In accordance with his pleasure and will. So we see this language all throughout. We see this language of adoption. We see this language. So it is not unreasonable for a follower of Jesus to hear it through that lens, to say, hey, if I can adopt her kids as my own, if I can adopt other kids, that is a theme all throughout Scripture, right? True religion is to care for the widow and the orphan, right? Caring for orphans was a huge responsibility of the church. Caring for women who had been widowed, huge responsibility of the early church. And I'm not saying Ciara is a widow, by the way. But what I am saying is that from that vantage point, from a Christian worldview, it does make sense. From a non-Christian worldview, from a secular worldview, from a why would you marry a single mom worldview, it absolutely doesn't make sense. It makes no sense. Why would you take that on? But from his perspective, he is, I think, articulating and communicating this from the worldview of Scripture.
There's the other side of this, which is a lot of people saying Christians aren't pro-life, they're just anti-abortion. And we see like a tangible front page story version of a Christian being pro-life.
Yeah, taking in somebody else. Yeah, because Christians adopt at double the rate of non-Christians. Okay, so if we look at it, and I think we should adopt at higher rates, by the way. This is Barna research shows that Christians have engaged adoption, foster care, and other ways of aiding vulnerable children more than the norm. Practicing Christians, 5%, more twice than likely to adopt the general population, 2%. Catholics, 3 times as likely. So Catholics are
They're crushing it.
way ahead, right? So that notion that Christians are just pro-birth and not pro-life, nonsense. No, you won't find anything in data. Catholics, who tend to be some of the most pro-life people out there, are 3 times more likely than general population. Protestants, 2 times more likely. Women are the biggest advocates for the unborn. And so I understand where Russell's coming from. I think that's noble. I think that's awesome. I think that he understood his call. Now, whether God told him that or not, I don't know. Javier says, you don't think Sierra being pretty plays a part of it? Of course it plays a part of it.
He meets her and sees her baby. He's like, I will have to take this baby.
I know of a woman who had, I want to say 4 kids or 3 kids, and she was in a really bad domestic situation. And she ended up remarrying and having like an additional 3 kids or 4 kids with a pastor. And
She got 7 kids.
I mean, she was also very attractive, you know? So yeah, of course that plays into it.
Pretty
know?
privileged.
I mean, that's the thing.
Will move the
sure.
needle in your single mom life. That's for sure.
Yeah, pretty privilege will definitely move the needle. But she was also a sweet person, you know? So I think that absolutely plays a role into it. It would be disingenuous for say it doesn't play a role into someone navigating it. But I think he understood from a worldview standpoint that it was his responsibility to step up if he was going to pursue the mom, right? He didn't have to pursue Sierra.
Yeah.
He could have pursued a different one, but he decided to. Now, I'm sure that dynamic with Future probably complicates things a bit because I'm guessing him and Future couldn't be further apart. And I think any objective person that knows any bit of Future's history, what he represents in music, how he's lied about doing drugs when he was sober, I think we could reasonably say Future's a scumbag.
I bet Future and Russell Wilson get along.
I'm sure they do.
Yeah,
I'm sure they do.
And I bet Future's like, man, I'm stoked to have such a strong, solid dude raising my son.
Sure. Yeah, I'm sure they get along.
Oh, that hurts.
I'm sure they get along. What I'm saying is they get along because Future's fake.
Oof.
They get along because Future is not the person he personifies himself in the music. Future's almost 40 years old. He's probably, oh man, I made a lot of stupid mistakes. I've been sober for a while. I probably shouldn't keep getting women pregnant. So that's probably why they get along. And I'm not saying like Future's beyond redemption, but like Future is like, I mean, it's a really dark energy to the music, content to the music, lying about doing drugs when he was sober, that leading to Juice WRLD saying I started doing lean because of you, started doing prescription because of you. There is something very different about having biological kids of your own and being in positions to be a father figure to someone else's kids. It is different. It is very different. No amount. Both are a privilege. Both are awesome, but it is different. And I don't. By the way, I don't have. My wife never had kids outside of our relationship or anything like that. But I've been in positions to be an uncle, to be these things, to raise kids in my home, and it's just different. It's just different. The connection you have to your biological kids is just different. I can't explain it.
I have the line here. He says, "I got it out the field. F Russell. I wish they gave us the bars beforehand so we could determine whether it was a good bar or
Wait,
not."
that's a terrible bar. When was this?
It's really bad. It's really bad. I wanted to see what he rhymed Russell with, and they didn't really.
This man is 39, by the way.
Dissing dudes that are taking care of his kids.
What an L. What an L. Wait, when did this come out? He was putting out Dirty Sprite, which is about in 2019. You know that Russell being in his kid's life is probably like just irks him.
Yeah.
Irks him so much.
He called out Russell Wilson for not preventing Sierra from bashing him on social media. And so he's mad at Russell Wilson for this. He says, he's not being a man in that position, Future said. He's not telling her, chill out with that on the internet. Don't even talk to him. I'm your husband. You better not even bring Future's name up. If that was me, she couldn't even bring his name up. She know that. She couldn't even bring her ex's name up.
This fool Future thinks he's the definition of patriarchy.
This man thinks like being like an Andrew Tate is how you're like a strong man.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Which is hilarious because there's literally another dude raising his child.
That's a big one. That's a big one.
Yep.
Wow. We see according to the Bible that prayer is extremely important in terms of us being transformed from the inside out when we get aligned with God's will. For the Christians watching this channel, I want you guys to implement these spiritual disciplines in your day-to-day life. And the only way I've been able to do this consistently is through writing down my prayers in a prayer journal that does a few things. One, it allows me to reflect and come to God humbly and ask him to move on my behalf. And two, it allows me to document my prayers, which ultimately help me remember the very things that I was praying for and see the hand of God tangibly in my life when he answers them. So I would urge you, consider writing down your prayers. It could be in a blank notebook. It could even be on your phone. Or you could check out the one I personally designed and used from my own quiet time and spiritual discipline that I think will be a huge blessing. It's the exact structure and system that I've used for years to pray and be more consistent in my spiritual disciplines. You can pick yours up today by clicking the link in the pinned comment below. All right, I'll see you over there. Peace.